Welcome back to Bazaar Morning Call. As promised, we have the management of Thermax joining us now. Mr. MS Unnikrishnan is with us. Remember, this entire area of Pune, Pimpri, Chinchwad is in lockdown from the 13th of July to the 23rd of July, and some parts of rural Pune are in lockdown as well. Thermax has some units in that Pimpri, Chinchwad area. So let's find out what the impact of all of this has been. Mr. Unnikrishnan, good morning. Of course, I'll ask you about business overall as well. But first, what is the situation like in this whole Pimpri Chinchwad region where you have units? Since there's a lockdown, what could the impact be? And in general, over the last couple of months, how has the situation been?
Sonia, starting with the current situation at the ground level, they have not put a stop for running factories in Pimpri and Chinchwad. Of course, a lot more restrictions are put in terms of travel of people, all that, how it needs to be taken care, all that is there. So the factories can be kept on even for the first 5 days of the lockdown, and the lockdown will be relaxed after the first 5 days for the next 5 days. So we have decided unilaterally to not to run the factory as a voluntary decision from our side. Because fundamentally, people traveling from their homes, the workmen I'm worried about, I don't want them to be coming into any difficulty for travel, and I can't afford to be sending buses to each locality of this place. So first 5 days the lockdown will be shut down, but after the 5 days we'll be restarting, where there will be some relaxation available. Now coming back to Thermax has got overall 14 manufacturing locations. In that, only one, the original factory of the company, which was set up 50 years back, is the one which is there in Pimpri Chinchwad, a very large one, let me say also. But we have got much larger facilities outside this place. So current lockdown of Pimpri Chinchwad would impact Thermax in any substantial way, though minor impact would be there for this one. Now coming back to your question of what had been the original situation post the lockdowns initiated, 3 of our chemical companies got permission to restart in the month of April itself. So chemical has done quite well for the first quarter. The segment, at least I'm expecting it to be above water level. Whereas the engineering factories were totally shut down for the last 10 days of March and entire of April. And May onwards, we started getting permission one by one to start manufacturing. So it will have a major impact on the first quarter. Unlike the industries like automobile, it is not that we didn't have orders. Thermax has got 5,300 crore worth of carried forward orders, but my customers were also under lockdown. So the projects had to be virtually stopped for the months of April and predominant part of May. June onwards, we started all the factories. Very happy to say that second half of June onwards, all our 14 factories were up and running, albeit at capacities ranging between maybe 25% at the minimum to maybe 50-55%. One of them maybe chemical going up to 65-70%. That's why we ran in the last part of first quarter. July, barring the Pimpri Chinchwad one, it is quite normal in operations, catching up. That's a ground level rate.
Okay, Mr. Unnikrishnan, good morning. What's the demand situation like?
See, I was very happy that when we did a survey, 84% of all our customers who have orders on us and with advances paid are wanting to continue with the execution of the project. Even the balance 16, nobody has cancelled an order. They told that let's look at how is the cash flow going to be for us. And based on that, we'll let you know when to start the project. Other 84% we were able to be starting one by one, but none of them are able to be running. Their capacity utilization is also very low. Nobody's in a hurry to complete the projects. That is as far as the existing projects are concerned. About the new orders sectors which you just spoke to prior to me coming on board, the pharma sector has been giving us orders. Plastic and rubber sector has been giving orders. Food and FMCG isolated orders. So the first quarter, despite all the negativity prevailing in the market, there were few orders which got concluded. But nothing like a project order going to be getting concluded. I don't think everything is going to happen in the first half of the current year in terms of larger projects. We'll have to be happy with the much lower order intake. And since orders are on hand, we can wait. I'm only hoping by the second half of the current year, the situation will come to almost, I'm talking about economic activity. COVID, I can't predict on that, but economic activity should come back to at least maybe a 10-20% lower than the pre-COVID days.
Okay. Well, I think we can't hear him now, but we will try and reconnect with Mr. Unnikrishnan. in a way, the screen has frozen at an appropriate time, because I did want to ask Anuj, I mean, this is a fairly aggressive buying of the dip, isn't it, Anuj?
It is, and I think today the market is in a mood to do reverse of what it did yesterday, Latha, which is especially on the bank nifty. You know, we had a 700-point decline yesterday. It looks like an advanced decline is up today, 2:1. Global markets are stable. I think the market's in a mood for some serious short covering, because in the morning people tried to short, but that hasn't worked out. I think keep an eye on the HDFC twins. That's perhaps the area which the market is now going to focus on.
Okay. Well, now we've reconnected with Mr. Unnikrishnan. We got your estimate of recovery, and you're hoping for it in the second half. Mr. Unnikrishnan, we understand that consignments from China are now getting cleared at the customs, but it must have given a bit of a jitter to people who would have given orders to China otherwise, and they may want to look for other sources. Are you benefiting from a potential Chinese competition not existing?
In some sectors, certainly, there is no order on China which got cancelled, which is placed with any Indian companies so far. Only in the larger power equipment and flue gas desulfurization, the pollution control area, there have been cancellations on China. Re-tendering will happen for some of them, and some of them will be participating. But for them to be fructifying, we should look forward to Q3 because the time taken for in the current condition for a tendering process to be completed could be a 4 to 6 month period. However, as you asked about going forward, there will be an aversion for capital goods from China because beyond electronic items, the second largest import of India is machinery and capital goods. So the entire sector, not only Thermax I'm talking about, the machine tool manufacturing industry, textile equipment manufacturing industry, earth moving equipments, and major process equipments are the areas where Indian capital goods industry, which otherwise had been crying that why are we allowing this kind of import? Because Indian companies, even without a separate duty being imposed or a ban being imposed, the Indian consumer and customer will have a preference. The capital equipments normally run for a period of 20 to 25 years, unlike durables, which will be over in 4 or 5 years. To get the service support from China for 25 years, I think it will be harakiri on the mind of an Indian investor or a company to be placing order on China for an equipment going forward. So it will certainly have a very positive impact I'm looking forward to. I don't want to talk about numbers in the current year, but next year onwards, as we are out of COVID conundrum, I think the Indian industry should certainly get benefited out of that. And the current ban which you spoke about of the port area, thankfully, companies like us, even when I mentioned about a 5,300 crore orders carried forward on the balance sheet of the company, I had hardly maybe 100, 120 crore worth of orders placed on China. And even if they were not to supply to me, enough and more alternative sources available, albeit maybe a little more expensive from Japan or maybe Korea or maybe from Europe. Could be a 10, 12% more expensive. But going forward, I'm sure any Indian company will not look at China as a source of supply, even for raw materials. Barring the auto components industry, and plus, of course, pharma industry, where capacities need to be created within the country. And those are challenges that we will have to be answering going forward.
Okay, Mr. Unnikrishnan, thanks a lot for joining us. That's the view from Thermax. Well, let's focus back on the market because it's looking quite interesting now. The Nifty is up about 117 points, the Bank Nifty up 358 points, and of course, the Reliance side of AGM is doing well. We have Mitesh Thakkar joining back, and Prakash Gaba is also joining in. Mitesh, good first hour so far. Your thoughts on whether it's a time to go long on the index, and if yes, what would be the stop loss and what are your stock calls?
Yeah, good morning, Anuj. Extremely good. I think the key is that we are sustaining nicely above the 10,700 mark. So I think today's low of 10,683 becomes my stop loss. We've taken a mild long position because all the indicators have not started to turn and look up on the hourly and the 2 hourly charts. But I think the overall setup does suggest that we might head towards the upper end of the range back to about 10,850. So you have about 130 odd points kind of an upside and 40 point kind of a stop loss. So I think that's the trade which I would recommend. And on the stock side, I have a buy on Naukri and Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra is a buy with a stop at 605 for targets of 640, and InfoEdge on Naukri.com is a buy with a stop below 2,900 for targets of 3,000.
Okay, buy on Info Edge for Mitesh along with Tech Mahindra. Today is an IT day for sure. Prakash, good morning. What are your calls?
I have two calls here, Anuj. Good morning to you. First is Godrej Consumers. Yes, certainly looking good to me. Formed a good base. I think Godrej Consumers can climb around 720 zones. Stop below 700 should be fine. And second is Jindal Steel. Today metals are doing well. Possibly we'll see a target beyond 175. Stop below 166.
Okay, Prakash and Mitesh, thanks a lot for those trading strategies. The current decline on the Nifty started at 10,802. We are at 10,730 now. So let's see how much we can reclaim. On the Bank Nifty, of course, the decline started at 23,000. That's still, of course, a long way away. We are still at only 21,700, but looks like a short covering day, Latha.
Okay. Okay, Anuj, don't go away just yet. Today the mid-caps are not participating as much as the big boys. So is there any message over there? And when tech taking such a big chunk of the weight, so does this mean that now we can take a reasonably serious shy at that 10,880 mark? I know it's a distance.
Possible, Latha, because you know what, I think the key is the Bank Nifty. Could we have a 1,000-point up day on the Bank Nifty today? I know nobody has an answer to that. It's done that in the past on days like today when there are shorts in the system. Yesterday, of the 20,000 shorts which were added in the index futures, my sense is majority of that was in Bank Nifty. So on 10,880 to happen, I think the Bank Nifty will need to have a 1,000-point move from here. Can it do that? I think let's wait to find out.
I wasn't expecting only in a day. 1,000 points in a day may be perhaps too tall an ask. Especially when the kind of macro noises we're getting is not exactly very positive. But twice we have been beaten down rather heavily at the 10,880 mark, and therefore I was asking you whether we would be third time lucky, like in a day or two.